These most rare and valuable old and dirty state quarters hiding in old jars, drawers, or even your pocket change could be worth a shocking amount of money. These aren't shiny proof coins locked away by collectors. These are old, grimy, everyday quarters that people overlook every single day. Tiny mint errors, rare die varieties, and mistakes the U.S. Mint. Stop, don't blink, because the old, dirty quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be hiding big money, and I mean life-changing value. I'm talking about a 2016 North Dakota state quarter dollar that looks worn, grimy, even worthless, yet the right one has quietly turned into hidden treasure, shocking collectors with sales in the hundreds, thousands, and in extreme error cases, prices that make people question everything they know about pocket change. Here's the mystery that hooks people. When North Dakota's quarter was released in 2006, almost no one paid attention. No hype. No buzz. Just another state coin entering circulation while collectors were already tired from years of searching rolls. The Denver Mint, marked by that tiny D, was pumping them out fast, under pressure, with worn dies and rushed quality checks. And that's when the mistakes were born. Mistakes so subtle, so strange, that most people spent them without ever knowing what they had. Those spent coins. Many are now considered hidden treasure. If you have a 2006 D North Dakota state quarter, especially one that looks old, dark, or dirty, listen closely, because this coin has surprised even veteran collectors. Start with the front. Check the date, 2006. Then look for the D mint mark beneath Washington's neck. That single letter is the gateway to big money. Philadelphia coins exist, but Denver is where the real shockers live. Now flip it over. You'll see the two American bisons standing tall, with the rolling plains and the words, North Dakota, and, Peace Garden State. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But collectors noticed something unsettling. Some coins show doubling, especially around the lettering and parts of the bison. This isn't wear. This is a double die error, caused when the die shifted during production. Certified double die North Dakota quarters have sold for $300 to $1,800, depending on strength and condition. And many are still out there because doubling can hide beneath dirt and grime. Now reset your attention, because this next fact catches people completely off guard. Rims matter more than you think. Pick up your coin and feel the edge. A normal quarter has clean, even reeds. But some 2006 D North Dakota quarters were struck with partial collars, creating wide rims, flat edges, or missing reading in places. These aren't damaged coins. They're mint errors. A partial collar North Dakota quarter sold at auction for $1,250, despite heavy circulation. Why? Because rarity creates demand, and demand creates big money. And here's where things get emotional. Color can make or break everything. If your coin looks dark, stained, or oddly toned, do not clean it, ever. Some of the most valuable examples show strange coloration from metal mix issues or mint storage conditions. Cleaning destroys original surfaces, and with them, life-changing value. An ugly coin can be hidden treasure. A shiny one can be a disaster. Now listen, because this error is dramatic. Off-center strikes. Some 2006 D North Dakota quarters were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing. If the date and mint mark are still visible, collectors pay serious money. Minor off-centers start around $250, while dramatic examples have sold for $2,500 to over $3,000. Most people never even check alignment. That's why these coins survive unnoticed. Here's another shocking reset. Rotated dies. Hold the coin upright, then flip it top to bottom. The reverse should line up perfectly. If it's tilted, 10 degrees, 30 degrees, even more, you could be holding hidden treasure. Rotated die North Dakota quarters have sold between $400 and $2,000, depending on rotation. Now let me tell you a true collector story. In 2021, a hobbyist sent in a handful of dirty state quarters for grading, coins he'd saved from spare change. One of them was a grimy 2006 D North Dakota quarter with rotation and a partial collar. That single coin sold for $2,300. He said it felt unreal, like finding cash inside a forgotten coat pocket. That's life-changing value hiding in plain sight. And yes, die clashes exist too. Some North Dakota quarters show ghostly outlines of Washington's profile bleeding into the reverse, or strange raised lines near the bison. These are not scratches. They're die clashes, when dies strike each other without a blank in between. Documented die clash North Dakota quarters have sold from $600 to $1,700, and demand keeps rising as collectors realize how few exist. Here's the haunting part. North Dakota quarters were struck during a time when the mint was transitioning processes, reusing dies longer than intended. That perfect storm created errors that will never be repeated. Which means what exists now is all that will ever exist. That's why prices keep climbing. That's why collectors are searching harder. That's why an old, dirty coin could be hidden treasure. So burn this checklist into your memory. Look for 2006 date with a D mint mark. Doubling on lettering or bison details. Unusual dark or uneven toning. Wide, flat, or missing rim reads. Off-center strikes. Rotation when flipped. Raised lines that look too perfect to be damage. If something feels wrong about the coin, that's exactly what collectors want. Because mistakes create rarity. Rarity creates obsession, and obsession creates big money. Stop, do not skip this, because the old, dirty quarter you've probably ignored for years could be hiding big money. I'm talking about a 2004 Wisconsin state quarter dollar that looks worn, stained, even ugly, yet the right one has delivered hidden treasure, life-changing value, and payouts that shocked seasoned collectors. Some people found these coins in loose change. Others spent them without ever knowing what they had. And that's what makes this story almost painful. Back in 2004, the U.S. Mint was racing the clock. The state quarters program was still one of the most ambitious coin projects in history. Millions of coins were demanded every week. At the Denver Mint, marked by a small but powerful D, Wisconsin quarters were struck fast, hard, and non-stop. And when that happens, mistakes slip through. But no one noticed at first. The Wisconsin design looked simple enough: a cow, cheese wheel, and an ear of corn. Nothing flashy. Nothing suspicious. Just another quarter. Until collectors spotted something that should not exist. And that's when everything changed. If you have a 2004 Wisconsin state quarter, especially one that looks old, dirty, or off, listen carefully, because this coin is responsible for one of the most famous modern error discoveries ever made. Let's identify it together. On rare error coins, there is an extra leaf on the corn stalk, something never intended to be there. And there are two versions. One pointing upward, and one pointing downward. These are known as the extra leaf high and extra leaf low errors, and they are legendary. When these errors were first discovered, collectors thought it was damage. But it wasn't. It was a die gouge error, meaning the die itself was damaged before striking the coins. That mistake created big money. Documented auction sales show extra leaf Wisconsin quarters selling for $300 to $1,500 in circulated condition. In higher grades, certified examples have crossed $3,000. Now reset your attention, because it gets better. Some extra leaf coins look dirty, dark, or worn, and that actually helps them pass unnoticed. Many collectors believe thousands are still out there, sitting in jars, drawers, and forgotten rolls of change. Some 2004 Wisconsin quarters were struck with partial collars, creating wide or uneven rims. A partial collar Wisconsin quarter has sold for $1,200, despite heavy wear. Why? Because collectors care about rarity, not beauty. Now listen closely, this part saves people from destroying value. Thousands of dollars. Off-center strikes. Some Wisconsin quarters were struck slightly off-center. If the date and D mint mark are still visible, these coins can sell from $400 to over $2,500, depending on how dramatic the shift is. In 2020, a collector bought a small bag of dirty state quarters at a flea market for face value. Inside was a grimy 2004 Wisconsin quarter with an extra leaf low error. After certification, it sold for over $2,800. Stop everything, because the old, dirty quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be hiding big money. I'm talking about a 2002 Ohio State quarter dollar that looks worn, scratched, even ugly, yet in the right version, it can be hidden treasure worth hundreds, thousands, and in rare extreme cases, truly life-changing value. Coins just like this have shocked collectors and stunned auction rooms. And here's the part that makes people freeze. Most of these coins were spent without a second thought. Back in 2002, the state quarters program was still at full speed. Millions of Americans were collecting, trading, and searching through pocket change. The Denver Mint, marked with that small but powerful D, was striking Ohio quarters in massive numbers, rushing to meet demand. And when speed meets pressure, history leaves behind mistakes. That's where the mystery begins. Ohio's design celebrates aviation and innovation, the Wright Flyer, an astronaut, the state outline. Clean, detailed, beautiful. But some Ohio quarters came out wrong. Subtly wrong. So wrong that most people thought they were damaged and spent them. Those coins are now hidden treasure. If you have a 2002 D Ohio State quarter, grab it. First step, check the front. You need the 2002 date and the D mint mark under Washington's neck. That single letter separates common change from potential big money. Now flip it over. Look closely at the state outline and lettering. On rare error coins, you may see doubling, especially around Ohio, birthplace of aviation, or the edges of the Wright Flyer. This is a double die error, not wear. Confirmed double die Ohio quarters have sold for $300 to over $2,000, depending on strength and condition. And here's the shock, many are still unidentified because doubling can be subtle. Now reset your attention, because this next fact changes everything. Some 2002 D Ohio quarters were struck with improper collars, creating wide rims or missing reeds along the edge. Pick up the coin and feel the rim. If it looks stretched, uneven, or oddly smooth in places, you could be holding big money. A dramatic partial collar Ohio quarter sold at auction for $1,400, even though it looked heavily circulated. Why? Because collectors don't care about beauty, they care about rarity. And now comes one of the most overlooked clues. Color. If your Ohio quarter looks dark, grimy, stained, or unusually toned, do not clean it. Ever. Some of the most valuable examples show strange coloration caused by metal mix issues or mint storage conditions. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Some 2002 D Ohio quarters were struck slightly or dramatically off-center. If part of the design is missing but the date and mint mark are still visible, collectors pay serious money. Minor off-center strikes start around $250, while dramatic examples have sold for $3,000 or more. Stop scrolling because the old, dirty quarter you've been ignoring could be hiding big money. I'm talking about a 2000 Virginia State quarter dollar that looks worn, stained, even ugly, yet in the right version, it can unlock hidden treasure worth hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, truly life-changing value. Some collectors didn't find this coin in a safe or a collection, they found it in loose change. And that's what makes this story so shocking. Back in the year 2000, the U.S. Mint was under massive pressure. The state quarters program had exploded beyond expectations. Millions of Americans were collecting, hoarding, searching. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with a tiny P, was running non-stop, striking Virginia quarters at lightning speed. And when speed meets pressure, mistakes happen. That's where the mystery begins. Because while most people see the Virginia quarter as ordinary, the first state, the three ships, Jamestown, collectors started noticing something strange. Certain coins looked wrong. Not damaged. Not worn. Just off. Dirty tones. Strange rims. Blurry details. Coins that felt like they didn't belong. And those ugly coins, they started selling for big money. Let me tell you why. If you have a 2000 Virginia State quarter, pull it out right now. First, check the front. Under Washington's neck, you must see the P mint mark. That single letter is critical. Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions, but only a tiny fraction carry the errors that turn pocket change into hidden treasure. Now flip it over. The design shows three ships, Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, with the words, Jamestown 1607 to 2007. Look closely at those ships. On rare error coins, the masts and rigging show doubling, a double die reverse. Not wear. Not damage. Actual doubling from a misaligned die. These double die Virginia quarters have sold $4,300 to $2,500, depending on clarity and condition. And many remain undiscovered because people assume the coin is just worn. Huge mistake. An off-metal Virginia quarter authenticated by PCGS sold for over $7,000 at auction. And experts believe more are still floating around in circulation, mislabeled as junk change. That's life-changing value hiding in plain sight. Now reset your attention because this next error is one of the most overlooked. A dramatic broadstrike 2000 P Virginia quarter sold for $1,600 even though the coin looked heavily worn. Why? Because error rarity beats condition every time when big money is involved. And it gets better. Some coins were struck off-center, cutting into the date or design. If you can still read 2000 and see the P mint mark, even slightly off-center strikes can fetch $500 to $3,000. The more dramatic the shift, the higher the value. Stop everything right now because the old, dirty quarter sitting in your pocket change could be hiding big money. I'm serious. A 1999 D Georgia State quarter dollar, one of the most common looking coins ever made, has quietly turned into hidden treasure, and in the right condition, with the right mistake, it can carry life-changing value. Some collectors have already pulled hundreds, thousands, and even shocking five-figure payouts from coins that looked completely worthless at first glance. Now here's the part that gives people chills. When the U.S. Mint released the 1999 state quarters, America went crazy. People lined up, banks ran out, and millions of these coins flooded circulation fast. But in that chaos, mistakes slipped through, and the Denver Mint, marked with a tiny D, became ground zero for some of the most surprising errors ever found on modern U.S. coinage. And here's the mystery: why are some of the dirtiest, ugliest Georgia quarters the ones collectors fight over? Let's go back to 1999 for just a moment. The Georgia State Quarter was the fourth coin released in the State Quarters program. It shows the outline of Georgia, a peach, and 3 oak branches, symbols of state pride. Millions were struck, especially in Denver. On paper, this coin should be worth 25 cents forever. But history had other plans. Within just a few years, collectors started noticing strange details. Coins that looked worn, discolored, even damaged, were selling for big money. Not because of age, but because of errors that should never exist. And this is where your attention needs to lock in. If you have a 1999 D Georgia quarter, especially one that looks old, dirty, or off in color, you might be holding hidden treasure. Let's talk identification, because this is where people miss out. First, flip the coin to the front. You want 1999 under Washington's neck, and most importantly, D mint mark to the right of his ponytail. No D. Still check it, but the Denver coins are where the big money stories begin. Now turn it over. Look closely at the state outline. On some rare error coins, the outline looks thicker, distorted, or doubled. This is not wear, this is a die error. Known double die reverses on the Georgia quarter have sold anywhere from $300 to over $3,000, depending on strength and condition. These coins often look dirty or off, and many people spend them without a second thought. Big mistake. One authenticated off-metal Georgia quarter sold privately for over $10,000. Now let's talk about the rim because this is where things get wild. Some Georgia quarters show rotated die errors, where the front and back don't line up correctly. Turn the coin top to bottom. If the reverse is tilted instead of straight, you could be staring at hidden treasure worth $500 to $2,500, depending on rotation.